Hello, writers. Welcome to your Writer's Tool Shed. This week, our 5 new tools are going to be seen in this example story. Joseph died. He woke up afterwards and looked around, bewildered. Where was he? In front of him, there was a shining colonnade that stretched off into the distance. There were boundless stars beneath his feet and swirling smoke above his head. A trumpet blast sounded behind him, and Joseph pivoted in the direction of the noise. There was nothing there. But while spinning, he had caught sight of something with the corner of his eye. He reached behind his back and felt it. There was a string attached to his back, as if he were a puppet. He tugged on the string to try to pull it off, but he couldn't. It adhered to him. It wasn't attached to his skin, but it seemed to be knotted right into his core. Joseph turned his head upwards, following the string with his eyes. He gasped. Okay, so our 5 words here. First one is bewildered. It's an adjective. It means confused or at a loss. This girl is bewildered. She's looking around, feeling like, what? What's going on? The word origin is from the bee, meaning thoroughly, and from this word wilder, which in the 1600s didn't mean like wild beasts, but it meant to lead astray. And so a person was bewildered if they would superstitiously believe that maybe the fairies from the wild would come and lead them astray off into the woods and they would never be able to get home. So you have this sense of a little bit different than just being confused or unable to understand something, but it's like there's some kind of force that's capturing your mind and taking you away from reality. Colonnade. This is our next one. It's a row of columns spaced out evenly. The word origin here, in the same way that lemonade, you have lemons made into something that becomes the lemonade. Here you have columns. Columns are made into something to become the colonnade. And this is the result. Like lemonade is that sweet drink. This is the colonnade that you can walk down and see those beautiful shadows striped across the ground. Boundless is an adjective without limits or edges. You can see the boundless uh, vastness of space from this picture, like how on the earth there are bounds, there are edges, there are limits. But once you get past the earth, there's just boundlessness. Shades of meaning, boundless versus infinite. So those two are very related, but there's a slight difference between them. Infinite focuses more on the never-endingness, and it's the technical mathematical term that means like it literally does not ever have an end. But boundless is less precise. It's not so much, not necessarily saying, oh, we don't know if it will never end and go on forever and ever and ever, but we just don't see any bounds or any limits on it. Next one is pivot, which is a verb, and it means to spin around a grounded central point. Maybe you've played basketball before, and then in basketball, if you're holding the ball, you can't take steps, but you can pivot. So if you have one foot that stays on the ground and you don't lift it up, then your other foot can move around and your body can turn, but you got to stay stuck on this central point. And so if you're talking about in your writing pivot versus turn, the pivot tends to happen more quickly. Like if you're pivoting around, it's kind of like a surprised motion, whereas turn is just more like, oh, you just changed direction. There's no added sense of like this spinning motion. Last one is adhere, which is a verb. It means to stick, to stay attached. This picture is showing this super glue that's being used to adhere the plastic cactus to the wooden stand. And when you're writing with it, there's the word adhere and there's the word cohere, which are pretty similar, but there's the important difference there, they get mixed up pretty often, is that when something's cohere, then you have multiple things kind of like all coming together. Like if you were to cohere, it would be like a ball of popcorn and it all coheres into a ball. But adhere is one thing stuck onto another thing. There's a main thing and a stuck thing, and that's the main difference. Okay, that's all for today.